the Roman Empire. A name that echoes through the annals of history, conjuring images of grandeur, power, and an unparalleled legacy. For centuries, it stood as a beacon of power, a symbol of human achievement and ambition. The Roman legions, with their disciplined ranks and indomitable spirit, were the backbone of this mighty empire. Its influence stretched across vast territories, encompassing diverse cultures and peoples. The Roman Empire was not just a political entity, it was a melting pot of ideas, traditions, and innovations. From the British Isles to the borders of Persia, Roman law, culture, and military might held sway. The Pax Romana, or Roman peace, brought stability and prosperity to the lands under its control. This was a civilization that built roads, aqueducts, and monumental structures that still inspire awe today. The engineering marvels of Rome, such as the Colosseum and the aqueducts, stand as testaments to their ingenuity and vision. The Roman Empire seemed eternal, invincible. At its zenith, it was a beacon of culture, governance, and military prowess, influencing countless generations to come. But even the mightiest empires can crumble. The decline of Rome was a gradual process marked by internal strife and external threats. The story of Rome's decline is not a simple one. It is a tale of political intrigue, economic troubles, and relentless invasions by barbarian tribes. It is a complex tapestry woven from internal weaknesses and external pressures. Corruption, economic decline, and the sheer size of the empire made it difficult to govern effectively. Over centuries, cracks appeared in the foundation of this once mighty empire, cracks that were exacerbated by continuous invasions and internal decay, cracks that would eventually widen into gaping fissures, leading to the fragmentation of the empire, leading to its inevitable fall. The legacy of Rome, however, endures, influencing modern governance, architecture, and culture. At the heart of Rome's decline lay a series of internal problems. Corruption, once kept in check, began to fester within the Roman Senate. Self-serving politicians, more concerned with personal gain than the welfare of the empire, engaged in power struggles and undermined the very institutions they were meant to uphold. The once renowned Roman administration, responsible for maintaining order and collecting taxes, became increasingly inefficient and riddled with corruption. This decline in administrative effectiveness meant that Rome struggled to collect taxes effectively, further weakening its ability to maintain its vast infrastructure and military. Beyond Rome's borders, a new threat emerged, the so-called barbarians. These were various Germanic and Gothic tribes driven by a desire for new lands and resources, or simply fleeing from the Huns further east. They began to exert increasing pressure on Rome's frontiers. The Roman military, once the envy of the known world, was stretched thin trying to defend the empire's vast borders. Constant warfare had taken its toll, and the legions were forced to rely increasingly on foreign mercenaries, a practice that further eroded Roman traditions and loyalty. The Roman Empire had always been a society of stark contrast between rich and poor. As internal problems mounted, this gap widened. Heavy taxation designed to fund Rome's military and administrative apparatus placed a huge burden on the population. This economic hardship led to social unrest, making it even harder for the weakened Roman government to maintain control. Trade, a vital part of the Roman economy, was disrupted by both internal instability and the increasing threat from barbarian raids. Political instability, a house divided. Adding to Rome's woes was a period of intense political instability. The once stable system of succession, which had ensured a relatively smooth transfer of power, broke down. Emperors rose and fell in quick succession, often assassinated or deposed by rivals. This constant struggle for power further weakened the empire, diverting resources from more pressing concerns like defense and economic recovery. The Roman people, once united under a strong central authority, became increasingly disillusioned and divided. Military overstretched the price of empire. Maintaining a vast empire had always been a costly endeavor for Rome. However, as internal problems mounted and external threats intensified, the Roman military became increasingly overstretched. Legionaries were constantly engaged in campaigns, from the Rhine to the Euphrates, and recruitment became increasingly difficult. The reliance on foreign mercenaries, while providing fresh troops, came at a price. These mercenaries lacked the discipline and loyalty of Roman citizens, and their presence within the legions further eroded the sense of unity and shared purpose that had once been a hallmark of Roman military might. The fall, a slow decline, and crushing defeats. The fall of the Roman Empire was not a single dramatic event, but a long, drawn-out process of decline. Over centuries, the once mighty empire faced numerous challenges that chipped away at its foundations. Political instability, economic troubles, and military defeats all played a part in this gradual downfall. It was a slow unraveling, a gradual weakening from within and increasing pressure from without. Corruption and inefficiency plagued the government, while the economy suffered from heavy taxation and reliance on slave labor. Meanwhile, external threats from barbarian tribes and other enemies grew ever more menacing. There were, however, key moments that marked turning points in this downward spiral. These events, though spread out over time, collectively signaled the empire's weakening grip on its vast territories. Each defeat and setback further eroded the confidence and stability of the Roman state. The sack of Rome in 410 AD by the Visigoths, led by Alaric, sent shockwaves throughout the empire. This was not just a military defeat, but a profound psychological blow. The city that had stood as the heart of the empire for centuries was now vulnerable, its defenses breached by foreign invaders. The eternal city had been breached, a symbol of Roman power brought low. The sack of Rome was a stark reminder of the empire's fragility and the growing power of its enemies. It marked a significant turning point, shaking the very core of Roman identity and pride. While Rome would recover somewhat from this blow, it marked a psychological turning point. The empire's citizens and leaders alike were forced to confront the reality of their declining power. Efforts to rebuild and restore the city were made, but the sense of invincibility was forever lost. The final blow came in 476 AD, when the last Roman emperor in the west, Romulus Augustulus, was deposed by Odoacer, a Germanic general. This event is often cited as the end of the Western Roman Empire, a symbolic conclusion to centuries of decline. This event, while significant, was more of a formality, the final act in a long and drawn-out drama. The empire had been in decline for so long that the deposition of Romulus Augustulus was merely the last step in a process that had been unfolding for centuries. The once great empire had finally crumbled, leaving behind a legacy that would shape the course of history for millennia to come. The legacy of Rome enduring influences on the modern world. The Roman Empire may have fallen, but its legacy continues to shape the world we live in today. Roman law, language, architecture, engineering, and political thought have left an indelible mark on Western civilization. From the legal principles that underpin many modern legal systems to the Latin roots of Romance languages like French, Spanish, and Italian, Rome's influence can be seen and felt everywhere. The ruins of Roman structures, still standing after millennia, continue to inspire awe and remind us of the grandeur and ingenuity of this once mighty empire. Lessons from the ashes, the collapse of a giant. The fall of the Roman Empire serves as a cautionary tale, a stark reminder that even the most powerful and seemingly invincible empires can crumble and fall. This monumental collapse was not the result of a single event, but rather a series of complex factors that intertwined over centuries. From political instability and economic troubles to military defeats and social upheaval, the Roman Empire faced a multitude of challenges that it ultimately could not overcome. It teaches us that internal decay and corruption can be just as dangerous as any external enemy. The erosion of civic virtue, the rise of autocratic rulers, and the loss of public trust all contributed to the weakening of the Roman state. As the government became more corrupt and less effective, the people lost faith in their leaders, leading to further instability and decline. It also highlights the importance of adaptability and the dangers of complacency. The Roman Empire, once a beacon of innovation and progress, became stagnant and resistant to change. This rigidity made it difficult for Rome to respond to new threats and adapt to evolving circumstances, ultimately sealing its fate. The Roman Empire, slow to adapt to changing circumstances, ultimately proved unable to cope with the combined pressures of internal weaknesses and external threats. The invasions by barbarian tribes, economic troubles, and the division of the empire into East and West further exacerbated its vulnerabilities. Despite its vast resources and military might, Rome could not withstand the relentless onslaught of these challenges. The lessons of Rome's fall remain as relevant today as they were centuries ago, urging us to learn from the past and strive to build a better future. In our modern world, we face our own set of challenges, from political polarization and economic inequality to environmental crises and technological disruptions. By studying the rise and fall of great civilizations like Rome, we can gain valuable insights into the importance of resilience, adaptability, and good governance. These lessons remind us that no society is immune to decline, but with foresight and effort, we can work to prevent history from repeating itself.